Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Hannah and I'm the creator here at Bookshelvish. If you haven't watched one of my videos before, I'm so excited that you're here. Today we're going to be talking about my entire Book of the Month TBR. Okay, so welcome. For those of you who maybe for some reason skipped the intro, we're going to be talking about every single book that's on my Book of the Month TBR, or basically just all of the Book of the Month books that I've accumulated over being a member there for a number of years now. And I'm not always the best at reading the actual books that I get, and so I've acquired quite a few for us to discuss today. There's 55 books here. So I'm just gonna give a little bit of background, kind of why I picked it, and then please let me know in the comments which ones I should prioritize. My goal this year is to get through my TBR, and so I'm hoping to knock out a lot of these as I read throughout the rest of 2025. If you're interested in buddy reading, please let me know. I have a whole page that's just dedicated to buddy reads over on Instagram. It's called Buddy Read Babes. Or if you want to buddy read with me individually and it's not a read that we're hosting over there, I would love for you to DM me on Instagram as well. My handle is Bookshelvish there too. So without further ado, we're going to jump in. A lot of these I did at one point have classified my author's last name, but not so much now that I've taken them all off my shelves. So we're just gonna kind of raw dog it with no system in mind, starting with our first book, which is The Wedding People by Alison Esbach. I have seen so many people rave about this book and kind of scared to read it because so many people have liked it so much, but I am really excited about it. So this is supposed to be not really a romance, kind of like literary, I think, but it's got really big themes of grief from what I can tell. I'm excited to read this one when it comes up. I don't really have a good reason for not reading it up until now. It just hasn't come up, but I really like the cover as well. Next, we've got The Adventures of Mina al-Sarafi. I have been excited about this book for forever because I am obsessed with pirates, but I'm also obsessed with romance, and I heard this doesn't have a ton in it, so that was my hesitation. But I have had this one sitting on my shelf for a while. It's pretty thick though, so I feel like it'll be kind of a commitment once I start it, but I'm excited to jump into it eventually. Next, I've got How to Walk Away by Catherine Center. Love Catherine Center. I've read a number of her books now, and so this is obviously one of her backlist titles. I'm excited to read it. I think this is one of the ones that has the same characters from, oh, maybe it's not. Never mind. I was gonna say from Happiness for Beginners, which is probably my favorite book that I've read by her. I think I'm mistaken. So this should be good. I love every Catherine Center that I've read, so I have really high hopes for this one. This is a kind of recent acquisition. So this is Babylonia by Costanza Casati. We read one of her books for a book club that I was helping run last year, and she also wrote Clytemnestra. So I think she's got a really good writing style that I'm gonna like a lot, but I obviously haven't tried yet. So this is just from January, so this is pretty recent, so I should be allowed to let this one sit for a while, I think. Next, we've got Firekeeper's Daughter. This has been on my TBR a couple of times and I just haven't started it for whatever reason. It's also, she is a thick girl. It's young adult. It's got some like tribal mythology to my understanding, and so I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest. I'm intimidated, so that's why I haven't picked this up, but I want to. I'll do these ones at once because I haven't read either one of them and they're by the same author. So these are Cara Bastone's two books. Ready or Not came out last year and Promise Me Sunshine just came out last month, so I feel like I'm not too behind on it yet, but I'm really excited to read these two. Also, the covers are so pretty. Just the covers themselves are kind of what made me buy them. I know this one is about an unplanned pregnancy, which I know a lot of people don't like that trope, and I am one of those people, but I've heard that this book handles it really well. And then Promise Me Sunshine, I don't really know what it's about, but it looks like something to do with a ship, and I am all in on anything boats, and then the cover obviously is gorgeous. So those are Promise Me Sunshine and Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. Next, I've got The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. So I got this one because people were really excited about it at the time. It's supposed to be kind of thrillery, and I'm not a good thriller reader. I get so freaked out every time. So I don't know that this will actually be a good fit for me, and that's why I keep putting it off. But I do really want to read it because I have it and have heard really good things. And I don't think, compared to all the other fantasy books I was pulling up, just over 300 pages, so it's not very long. So I should jump into this sooner rather than later, probably. Next, this is actually my first ever Book of the Month book that I got. This is Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. I hear really amazing things about Sarah Addison Allen, and so I think there's a good chance that I will like this one. I really love the cover, but it's not very happy from what I understand, and so it hasn't been a good fit for me a lot of the time. I did actually try to read this on audio like a month or two ago, but my library didn't have the audiobook, so maybe I'll return to that in the future. Next, I've got The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. I've had this one for quite some time as well. I think the cover's really pretty, and I feel like it's a really unique fantasy. I don't know much about why I know that's unique. I think that's just based off of what other people have said. It does sound really good, and she's supposed to have really incredible storytelling, so I always love that in a book. And it is part of a trilogy, and I think book 2 already came out or comes out soon, so it might be a good time to jump into it. Next, we've got a fan favorite, which is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I've only read one Ali Hazelwood book, and it was Bride, and I wasn't as obsessed with it as I think everyone else was, and so I'm a little apprehensive about this, but it does have to do with chess. And one fact about me is that I was in chess club as a kid, so just the subject matter appeals to me a lot. We'll see how that one goes. I'm excited to read it. I think the cover is really cute. Love a purple spine. It just has not been one that I pick up for some reason. Next, we've got another fan favorite, which is The Women by Kristen Hanna. I have read a few of Kristen Hanna's books. I have not read The Nightingale. That's probably the biggest one that everyone's like, what do you mean you haven't read besides this one? I really liked The Great Alone, Firefly Lane. Are those the only two? Those can't be the only two. I'll have to think about it. Maybe they are the only two. Anyway, I'm excited to read this one, but I have heard it's really emotionally draining, and so I've been waiting for a good time when I'm not like mentally unwell with all of my own personal anxiety. So when the time comes, I will be in a good mental space. So that'll be a fun indicator for all of you that I am finally doing well. But I'm very excited about this one. It's about women who fought in the Vietnam War. Next, this is one of those that I don't know why I've been putting off, but I have. This is One Star Romance by Laura Hankin. I originally wasn't going to get this one, and then people raved about it. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a good book. I'm not really like drawn to it in any particular way. I have heard it compared a lot to Elise Schusterman? I don't know. Whoever wrote Funny You Should Ask. Why am I blanking on her name? And I did like that one a lot more than I thought I would, but I didn't love it. So I'm interested to see how this one goes. It came out last summer, so I feel like, 2 summers ago. I put things off for way too long. So that's One Star Romance. I'm gonna do these next two together also because they are a duology, or maybe more than a duology. I don't know, but only these two are out right now. And that is Immortal Longings and Vilest Things by Chloe Gong. I'm really excited to read both of these. I have heard excellent things about them. Don't ask me why I haven't started, because I don't know. I feel like they're like sci-fi ? I could be totally making this up. This is an epic fantasy debut inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. It should be interesting. I am excited about them, so those are on my TBR as well. Another two Chloe Gongs, Foul Lady Fortune. This was also one of the first book of the month books I got, so it's been a bit. So pretty. This is like a prequel series, I believe, to These Violent Delights, which I have heard really good things about, and I think it's based on like Chinese mythology, so I'm excited for both of those. This I actually don't think I got myself. I think that I found this one in a little free library. There's one or two of those in here. The Many Daughters of Afong Moy, which is supposed to be like literary fiction, I think, and honestly that does not sound great to me, so I'm interested in what I will think of this when I do read it. Okay, Heartstrings and Other Breakable Things. This sounds super cute. I don't know, I don't strictly think that it's YA necessarily, but it does feature a 17-year-old, so maybe it is. I had this on a TBR, and same thing, my library didn't have the audio, so I didn't end up getting to it, but I thought this looked super cute for a really long time, so I'm excited about that one. Oh, and then this one, everyone's talking about this one right now. This is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I just got this in my book of the month box, so I have not read it yet, but I am very excited about this one. I have always had like a weird interest in figure skating, so I think this will be really fun. I've heard it compared to Daisy Jones and the Six a lot, and I really like that book, so I'm hoping that this will be a fit whenever I eventually get to it. I have these all stacked up in like piles of 10, so we've done 20 books so far, and we've got 55, so buckle up. Next, this was my pick for Book of the Year nominee. Oh, you can kind of see in the back, it flickers that it's a Lolly finalist, which is kind of cool. This is The Lion Room of Tehran. This author, Marjan Kamali, wrote The Stationery Shop, which is one of my top books of all time. I love that book. This one, for some reason, didn't really catch my eye, just synopsis-wise, and so I wasn't going to get it, but then it was the only one of the Lolly finalists that I hadn't read already, or owned. And so I grabbed it because I figured if I'm getting it for free anyway, then I may as well. I'm excited for this one eventually. Similar to The Women by Kristen Hanna, I feel like I have to be in a good headspace for this one because I know that it's going to take me out emotionally. That's the Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali. Next, we've got The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson. I have this thing in my head where I can only read this in December, and the last December or two, I just haven't, and so I need to actually, for real, get on that. But it's supposed to be like a dark retelling of the Nutcracker, which is really interesting. I used to do ballet all the way up until I was 17, and did Nutcrackers every year, and so I know the story really well, and I don't see a lot that's like based off of it, so I'm excited to read that, even though I am a scaredy cat, so the horror / like scary aspect does stress me out. I'm excited to read this one. Maybe it won't be in December. Maybe I'll just have to like bite the bullet and try to read it at a different time, and that'll actually make me do it. We'll see. This next one has a sequel coming out relatively soon. This is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I have read the first 3 books in the Bridge Kingdom series, and I love them. And so this one's just been hanging out for whatever reason, and I haven't read it yet. I did hear some people give it negative reviews, but some of those people, we don't always align on book taste, so I think this one still has a good shot for me. And the sequel's coming out, I think, this summer, so now is probably a good time to read it. I think the cover's really pretty too. This is also based off of, I want to say, like Norse mythology. Yeah, Norse-inspired fantasy romance. I think it could be a really good fit for my personal reading tastes. Next, we've got Where the Library Hides. I also haven't read What the River Knows. That's the first one of this duology, but that's on my April TBR, so I expect to be reading it soon. And so it's not in my like regular book of the month stack. So this is Where the Library Hides. This author is best friends with Rebecca Ross, and I love Rebecca Ross's writing, but I haven't read anything by her, so I'm excited to dive into it. People have really good things to say about this duology. It's YA, has like a dash of Indiana Jones or The Mummy to it, and so I think that sounds super up my alley, so I'm excited. And I really love these covers also. This is another one that I didn't actually get myself, but I did find in a used bookstore. So this is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I've heard really great things about this, and I'm excited to read it. It's came out like almost 8 years ago or more at this point, so it's getting to be a very backlist book, but I'm excited to read it. I have heard it compared to Where'd You Go, Bernadette, which I did really like that book. I have high hopes for this. This I have not seen a whole lot of places, but a bunch of my friends are obsessed with this book. This is The Ornithologist Field Guide to Love by India Holton, and I think the second book is out. If not right now, it will be soon. And so I've wanted to read this one. It's been on my TBR a few times too, and I just haven't gotten around to it, so that's definitely one that I want to jump on. I also think the cover design is really pretty, and it's just kind of unique and different, so I'm looking forward to that. People also say that book is like really funny, which is not something that I think you would expect from looking at it, so that intrigues me. Next, a classic, well, modern classic maybe, Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. I think this is part of a series. There's quite a few of them. This one's under 300 pages. I was gonna say it feels pretty skinny, so I'm excited to get into this series at some point. I feel like same as how Kingdom of Sweets has to be read in December, in my brain this has to be read in October. I'm gonna wait for October, but this has been out for some time, so in theory I'll read it sooner rather than later and then get into the whole series, but we'll see. So that's Practical Magic. I'll do all of these together because I have actually never read one of this woman's books, but I have a bunch of them, and so these are just the book of the month ones, and then on my own shelf I have quite a few, they're over there, that I've picked up used or whatever else. So I'm excited. This is Swan Song, Summer of '69, and The 5-Star Weekend. I hear really excellent things, and I love a good beach read, so I feel like these are gonna be really good books. So that is Ellen Hildebrand's not entire collected works, but getting there. Next, I've got The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary A. Pearson. She wrote the Vow of Thieves and Dance of Thieves duology, which I hear great things about. So I have a couple of other books from her, including another edition of The Courting of Bristol Keats that's fairy loot, and so it's so pretty. I just haven't gotten around to reading it yet. So probably, to be honest, what'll end up happening is I'll read it and then probably get rid of this book because I have the special edition of it, assuming I want to keep it. Otherwise, I'll get rid of both. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see it. I am kind of stressed out about the snake on the cover. You can kind of see it winding around to the keyhole. I have heard really good things about this author, even though I haven't actually read anything by her myself. Next, I've got The Circus Train by Anita Parikh. This is another one that I've heard really good things about, and so I grabbed it, even though I wasn't really necessarily interested interested in it myself ahead of hearing all of the good reviews. And so I think it's about World War II and an actual circus. So not a misleading title. About a circus and there is a train. I haven't been like as into historical fiction recently. I still really like it. I just haven't been picking it up a ton. So I think this will be maybe a good door back into that. This one's a relatively recent release. It probably has been a lot longer than I think it has, but this is Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. People go nuts for Lynn Painter, and I have not read a single book of hers yet. I'm excited to read this one. It's pretty short, 275 pages, so I could bang that out in like a day. So maybe I will. We'll see. I'm excited for this one. I don't think I got it super long ago, question mark. 2024. Doesn't say the month, but pretty recent, but I'm excited about that one. This one just came in my last book of the month box, and I grabbed it because I thought it seemed good. It's called You Between the Lines, and I think it's about two writers or readers, and it's enemies to lovers, I think. So all of those things bode well for me. I don't know much about it other than those things. Now we've got Someone Else's Shoes by Jojo Moyes. I hear really good things about Jojo Moyes, but I've never read any of her books. She's another one that I do have a lot of just collected over time, but I have heard great things about this one. Obviously, her most well-known one is Me Before You. Also came out with A Giver of Stars, I think it's called, a couple years ago, which got a lot of attention. I'm just excited to kind of dive into one of hers and see what she's about. Gods of Jade and Shadow. I've had this one for a while too. I really like fantasy that's doing something different. This one's based, I think, on Mayan or Aztec mythology. Mayan. So just that intrigues me because I've never really read anything about Mayan mythology other than in like my ancient civilizations history classes. And so this is going to be super interesting, I think, and just maybe something a little bit different. So I'm excited about that. Next up, we've got Dragon Fruit by Micaiah Lucier. This one has pirate vibes. You can always get me with a book with pirate vibes. I'm interested in that. I am obsessed with this fruit bat that's on the back cover. You can kind of see him up there. So if he doesn't play a huge role in the story, I'm not really sure what we're all doing, but that one intrigues me a lot. This is another one that I believe I picked up either from a used bookstore or from a little free library. To be honest, it doesn't sound like something that I will like. Maybe I'll unhaul it. It's supposed to be like literary mystery kind of, it sounds like. Might get rid of it. Or maybe I'll try to like read it on audio. It's not really calling to me. About a disabled guy who watches a lady get kidnapped in front of his house and he's trying to solve that mystery, but it does sound more slow paced and not so like intense. So on one hand, maybe that's a good thriller for me because it's not really very thrilling. But on the other hand, did not catch my interest at all. Maybe if there's like a romance with him and the girl that gets kidnapped, but otherwise I think I'm out. I'll sit on that for a little while longer. Next, we've got We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang. This one basically just got me because I love all things Ireland. You put some clovers on the cover of anything, I am so there. I don't really know much about this one either. I have heard, looks like it's got a strong sense of place, the staying power of shame, and the redemptive power of love in an Irish Catholic family torn apart by secrets. None of that sounds great, so really it is just the Irish thing that got me. So hopefully that plays a big role. Otherwise, I don't think I'll be having a very good time. We Are the Brennans. And then this is The Wilder Women by Ruth Emmy Lang. This is one of the longest ones I've had on my TBR. I got it pretty early on when I started subscribing to Book of the Month, and I am still obsessed with this cover. I think it's so pretty. So I'm excited about that. Next, we've got Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. I assume that's how you say her last name, but I'm not 100% sure. I did see really great things being said about this when it came out, and it does interest me. The premise sounds really cool. I just have not had the urge to pick it up, so we'll see how that goes when I do. This one just came out because it was in my last box. This is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. Also, I've heard really great things about this one, and I believe The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue meets This Is How You Lose the Time War in this fantastical and epic love story that defies death as two souls reincarnate through the centuries. I'm really excited about that one. I also think that the cover is really pretty, and then I'm pretty sure that there's either Owl Crate or Fairy Loot is doing an edition of this too, I think. So I'm very excited. This one's been on my TBR for a while. I have heard great things about everyone who's read this book. This is The Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany. You put me in Italy and I am so there. So I think this has like a historical fiction element, And then women's fiction, it's about sisters, so obviously that's gonna play a role. I'm excited about this one. I feel like people were super into this author for a while, and then I haven't heard anything about them since. This is The Cartographers by Pang Shepard. I think it sounds super interesting. I have heard there's a pretty heavy magical realism element to this, which I am not usually a magical realism girly. That could be hit or miss, but I'm excited to try. I'll do these two together also. This is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer and The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. Get the vibe that these are two very different books, even though they're written by the same woman. People who like The Wishing Game don't really like The Lost Story and vice versa, so I'm interested to see where I fall. Then we've got The Rewind by Alison Wynne Scotch. I think there's a time travel element in this, which concerns me because that's another one that I don't always love, time travel elements. But I did love Outlander, so, and that's like all time travel, so who knows? Tonight they'll fall in love like it's 1999 is what the blurb says. So I do like the cover a lot, so it has promise. This next one's by Jennifer Saint. It's Hera. I really like the mythological retellings, and so I'm excited to see where this one goes. I don't really like Hera as a goddess. Weird thing to have opinions on, but I do. And so, yeah, I'm interested to see how that will shake out. This next one is The Wedding Dress Sewing Circle. This has been on my TBR for a long time. I think it sounds really cute. Haven't really seen a whole lot of people who have read this, so I have no idea if it's gonna be good or not, but I hope that it will. Next, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this cover. This is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I haven't read this yet. I do have an arc that I need to read still of her new book that's coming out in April, The Amalfi Curse. I'm hoping that both of them live up to it. I just got a heart attack because there's like a beetle on the back of this book and I thought it was real. So I'm really interested in this. It's not a very thick book, so I feel like it should be a pretty quick read. Last 5 books. We'll do 2 together. A Sea of Unspoken Things and The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I have read Spells for Forgetting by her and nothing else. I have Fable as well. So I have a lot of books by her. I just haven't really read them. So I hear tons of great things about The Unmaking of June Farrow. I hear mixed reviews of A Sea of Unspoken Things. We'll have to see, but I am excited to read both. I thought Spells for Forgetting was super atmospheric, and I always really like an author that can do that. Next, I've got The Bookbinder by Pip Williams. This is sitting with How Lucky as like one of the 2 that I might just get rid of because I read The Dictionary of Lost Words, which is the first one to this, and it was so boring. So I expected to love it. So now I'm apprehensive about reading this one because I already didn't really like the first book. So I think I am. I was like, I'm gonna sit on it with How Lucky and this. I'm not gonna sit on them. I think I'm gonna unhaul those 2. So that'll be good for my TBR. I'm just gonna kind of take them out of the pile now so I don't forget. Next, we've got Scythe and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver. I really liked Butcher and Blackbird. This is the 3rd in that trilogy. I think it's called the Ruinous Love trilogy. Yeah. Leather and Lark was kind of a disappointment for me, so I'm excited to see where this one goes. I like this brother the best out of all of them, so just that itself should have something promising. I'm excited to get to that one eventually. I love to wrap up a series, as you guys know. And then next, I've got The Good Left Undone by Adriana Trigiani. I don't know if I want this one either. This one might be going in the unhaul pile. This one's a dual timeline one, and it's got Italy and Scotland. I tend to also like, just like with Ireland. It's World War II timeline. I might get rid of this one too. Kind of ending on an unhaul, which would be a bummer, but I think taking these 3 off will be ultimately a good thing for me. So I think I'm gonna put that in the unhaul pile. There you have it. All 55 of my book of the month books that I've got. Now we're down to 52 because I'm gonna get rid of those 3. So that is me, and thank you so much for watching. See you guys later. I don't know why I made you get so close to my face there. See you guys later. It's been a blast as always, and I will see you for my next video.